session. So good afternoon. I think we'll just make a start now, as we've only got half an hour for this session. Thank you for joining our shared learning event for the Week of Wonder. Hope you've enjoyed the sessions that you've had this morning and that you look forward to the rest that we've got planned for you this week. Just to introduce myself, I'm Khadija Begum and I work at the local delivery team at OPSS. And today myself and Valerie will be talking to you about the work we've done around diversity and inclusion. Valerie's up on the screen as well. Do you want to say hello?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Valerie Simpson. I work at London Borough of Hammersmith and Fulham, and I'm chair of the London Strategic Regulatory Network.
Before we do actually begin talking about our content, I'd quickly like to go through the housekeeping that we've got, which you're going to hear quite a lot this week. But if you're not speaking, please ensure that your camera is turned off and that your mic is muted, just to avoid any noise. The session we can share delegates afterwards. Please keep that in mind when you're posting anything in the chat. If for any reason that your internet or your laptop connection fails, please note down the dial-in details, which you can find if you drop down the 3 dots on the top of Teams, and we'll also put that in the chat. Please also use the chat function for any of your thoughts or questions or comments, and do raise your hand and we'll try and get back to you at the end of the session. We'll also be posting a link to our live briefing sessions that we hold, which will be tomorrow at 4 p.m. So yeah, I should also have some slides up today, which you should be able to see. Nick, if you've got them. If you're not able to see, they were also circulated just ahead of this meeting as well, but we will be sharing these as well. So yeah, so our session today is about diversity and inclusion, and it's myself and Valerie speaking. As I mentioned earlier, we're here to talk to you today about the work we've done around diversity and inclusion and the steps we have took to begin to develop our understanding as well as advocate for, in particular, the ethnic minority businesses that we engage and work together with. We also today want to demonstrate some of the work we've done and the steps we'd like to take forwards to continue this support, as our work here is just starting. So to begin with, from OPSS and the work that I've been working on for I think about a year now, we've developed a project around the reach of primary authority amongst ethnic minority businesses. However, we wanted this work to be well informed and justified and intended to gauge or scope a current picture of the engagement that we have within primary authority. This was, to begin with, quite difficult due to the lack of data as well as the discrepancies we had around the use and the changes of language. However, we were still keen to develop our support in this area. If I can have the next slide. So for exploring the reach of primary authority, we wanted to ensure that we had consistency throughout the project, so we made a clear definition from the get-go. So when exploring this work, we referred to ethnic minority businesses as a business which has an ethnic minority ownership and or consumership. With that in mind, we recognised only around 30 businesses on the PA register, which demonstrated the huge gap that we wanted to further explore. So if we go onto the PA register, that's where we host all of our PA partnerships, which you might, can we go back a slide, sorry? We host our PA partnerships and there are over 1,000 businesses on there. So as I mentioned, the data and the use of languages did make it difficult to gauge or distinguish an actual accurate figure. So what we did was developed a question set to collate details of any previous, current or future engagement that local authorities had with ethnic minority businesses. If I can have the next slide now, please. So we shared these questions through our various routes, including PA News, our PARG groups, so our PA regional groups, our PA training sessions, and our sector panels as well, which we had to collate some of this information. The feedback that we did have was varied, and we found that the services that were often done as business as usual, or there were some also examples of translated materials which were offered to ethnic minority businesses. But we also learned that there were perceived barriers, and this was the issue of no data was reiterated, leading to it being particularly difficult to report any engagement stats. However, we also found that, alike to our own aims, local authorities were keen to learn other approaches as well as have a desire to improve their engagement. Can I have the next slide, please? We also recognise that PA as a service is also an open service to all and doesn't discriminate. However, although it is an open service, we do need to ensure that it is accessible to all different businesses. So what we did to support a shared learning approach, we embarked on developing case studies to share across the business and regulatory sectors. We also wanted business insights when developing these case studies, so we worked with businesses within Primary Authority to tell us about their experience of having a PA partnership, but not only for what they did for their business in technical terms, but also discussing their perceptions of how it is to work with a regulator. We will have these case studies to share with our usual com route, and you'll find in your delegate pack, which was sent out this morning, a flyer to our ebook launch, where we hope to host a whole range of resources as well, so keep an eye out for that. Also, I'd like to add that although we focused on Primary Authority, the same principles do apply for all business support offered to ethnic minority businesses and all other types of business communities too. So if you do have some examples, please do get in touch with local delivery, and we've put our email on there, and I'm sure it'll be in the chat and in our other comms too. For some of the outcomes of this work, we were also working towards some recommendations, some of which I've already mentioned, brings to question of whether PA is really accessible, which we'd of course like to share and make sure all businesses do find it accessible. There were also the explorations of data, which Valerie will be sharing a piece on, and how we look to collate data to inform our approaches. There's also thought to be given to the language that we use, which I found was quite difficult when doing this piece of work, and our approaches of various levels of engagement with the variety of business communities out there, and also how we reach businesses, including our marketing, and whether this is suitable for all. For example, when you think of smaller businesses too, and how effectively we share our business support. So those are some of our learning points for the work we've done so far. And another thought, as you would be aware, if you think about the protected characteristics, we should aim to support those through the services we offer, especially as I've mentioned already, PA is an open service, so we should consider these. Sorry, it's a bit of background noise. It's all right now. Support. For example, we should also consider if we're offering support to women in business. We're also thinking about reviewing the disability strategy and how businesses can be supported here too, as well as our local authorities that we work with. So as I mentioned, please do share your work with us, as we'd greatly appreciate that. And just to end with, on a note, in technical terms, PA does offer various regulatory support to businesses, which is great. However, we do want to ensure that all types of businesses are reaching this and can benefit from it as well. So this is a start to a piece of work which we'd like to continue the support to. So yeah, please do share anything with us, and we will be sharing our resources and case studies through our ebook as well. That is it from me today. We will have time at the end for questions, and please do continue to use the chat. But for now, I'm handing over to Valerie.
Thank you very much, Khadija. And thank you, Nick, for the slides as well. Just for those who may have joined before I introduce myself, I'm Valerie Simpson, Strategic Lead of Environmental Health and Regulatory Services in Hammersmith and Fulham, but currently Chair of the London Strategic Regulatory Network. Today I'm going to be talking to you about our Diversity and Inclusion Simplification project. Next slide, please, Nick. You may have seen I've posted in the chat, and I'll post again. We will be using Mentimeter for part of this session. So those new to Mentimeter, you can go to menti.com and enter that code that's on the screen. I've also put it on the chat. Those who've used it before may have the Mentimeter app. There'll be a bit of time you may want to download that because it may be useful. Thank you. Next slide, please, Nick. Yeah, so today I'm just going to give you a quick overview of our London Strategic Regulatory Network. I'm not sure, in the audience it seems to be a lot of trading standards people I can see at the moment, but please let us know what area of work you do, and if you're going across different disciplines you can enter more than one discipline so we know who's represented in the room today. And some of you may know about strategic regulatory networks, but I'll give you a quick overview. And then just to talk and give you a bit of an update about one of our simplification projects that we're working on around diversity and regulation. And finally, just to give you an update about a recent development with our LCCI membership. Thank you. Next slide. So just to give you history, we've been running our London SRN from around October 2020, so just over a year, and we've had changes in some of our vice chairs and deputy chairs to help support that over the year. So really over the last 9 months, we've really been trying to get our plans together. And we found that the network's been useful in bringing regulators together across different levels, across different disciplines. It's also helped to facilitate discussions. We have a monthly chair meeting, so we're able to raise issues around COVID or the nighttime economy, other common issues that we want to raise with ops directly to engage with those conversations. And also some of our project work around Better Business for All to support businesses. Quite keen that we try and do that in a helpful way and reduce any burdens. So there are small pockets of funding to help local authorities in London with this, which we look to take advantage of. And it's been really good working closely with Ops and developing a closer relationship with them over the last 18 months to 2 years as well. Next slide, please. So just to tell you a little bit about our diversity project. I suppose in light of George Floyd's murder and a lot of the work that's been done in conversations around inequalities, especially some of the statistics around COVID and the impact and healthcare, wanted to look at diversity and regulation. And some of this work started in Ops a while ago as well, looking at diversity and regulation. Definitely Khadijah's work started. It's been looking at quite a lot of this, but we really wanted to look at how regulators, us as regulators across trading standards, environmental health and licensing, interact with businesses, and whether ethnicity and other protected characteristics have an impact, and do we look at that in any detail, in any shape or form. So there are a number of elements. One, to sort of understand our workforce and our regulators, and I think today earlier on we've heard about how difficult it is to recruit to regulatory positions, and it's getting more difficult. So it's looking at that challenge. It's looking at our communities, those who use our services, the vulnerable people in our communities. Are they able to access our services? Do they know that they exist? And then finally, as well, around the business community, do they feel that us as regulators are their friends and allies that they can come to and get support? And is there anything we can do to improve that relationship? So as part of that, we've developed that into various phases, and the first phase has just been completed. We're just analysing those results and writing up the report, but we've been asking the London local authorities about their makeup in their teams, about their awareness, about cultural awareness, and about their businesses and what type of monitoring they do. It was an anonymous survey targeted across mainly trading standards, environmental health and licensing. And also the aim is to share any best practice with AXO and CTSI, who are doing some work around EDI, just so there's no duplication as well. Next slide, please, Nick. So Thank you. At least 21 of you are in Mentimeter. I think Nick's going to hand over to me now to share my slide. If I can just give you a few minutes just to log on to say where you're from. Just give that a minute if you haven't managed to do that. So it seems to be we have mainly trading standards and environmental health and some other colleagues and some business support, but a good range. And I know we have ops in the room as well. So I'll give you just a few seconds. Just going to have a little poll quiz now. Just 5 questions, and some of these are elements of what we asked London. So it's just a snap poll quiz. So I'll just go on to the next slide. There's 25 joining in that. So you might have to click next slide on your phones and also enter your name to start the quiz. So you'll have 10 seconds. So do you or your service or organisation collect data on diversity in your community? And it's about fastest fingers as well. So we see who's the fastest fingers. Maybe if you've entered your name. Right. So next question will be coming up. Do you or your service gather business ownership diversity data for businesses that you or your service has contact with? So again, you've got countdown. Okay, so majority no, some don't know, and we have got a yes, thank you. Does your organisation collect, monitor the age, race or gender for your staff who are responsible for business enforcement, engagement or support? Sorry about my voice. So that's overwhelmingly, the majority is there, yes, that do collect it around staff data. That seems to be common. Does your organisation collect any ethnicity data on business ownership when providing business advice and engagement or taking enforcement action? So we've got a few more seconds for that and before the final question. No, so majority no for that. And then the final question. Okay. Can you identify any gaps in your knowledge or understanding of diversity and inclusion or the diverse cultures and communities amongst businesses? Final seconds. So majority of you can identify some gaps. 2 no and 3 not sure. So we have, let's see who's the fastest, very fast with their fingers. Watson, well done. There's Watson there. Is that Dave Watson? So well done on that. And I think we'll go back now, Nick, to your slides, if that's okay. So just wanted to highlight that as part of this project, we've recognised that we may not be engaging with Black and Asian businesses. And I think this leads on from some of the findings that Khadija has said today, with Black and Asian business owners in the most effective way. And it's recognition that Black and Asian communities also may not come to us for support. Next slide, please. I think it's been documented in various researches in terms of the benefits of workplace diversity as an element, but let alone the way we engage, with our businesses. So if we have a more diverse workforce, it may improve the way that we interact with our Black and Asian businesses as well. It may increase creativity, reputation, relationships. So there could be a number of benefits. Next slide, please. And I think from that quiz, and I think the last slide, it was a message to say there is power in admitting that we don't know everything and recognising when there may be gaps in our understanding. And I think part of this project is to we've sort of accepted that we don't know, there are some gaps, there aren't monitoring carrying out on various activities. We don't know if certain members of the community are accessing our services, particularly business community. So what are we going to do about it? Next slide, please. Well, I suppose with our background of professional curiosity, we know what we know, but there's a whole lot of stuff that we don't know. And I think part of this project is to try and understand that a bit more. Are we asking the right questions to the right people at a time that's suitable and appropriate and in the right way? Next slide, please. So I just wanted to finish off with just highlighting that as part of our London Strategic Regulatory Network, last year we joined as a member of the London Chamber of Commerce, and they have a Black Business Association and Asian Business Association. And just to highlight that the Chartered Trading Standards Institute London branch has also joined as a member sometime last year as well. And we're trying to work closely with engaging. And just want to show you this short video before we close my session, before we go to question and answers. So thank you. If you can play the video, please. I'm not sure if there's any sound, Nick. There's no sound, Nick.
If you go on top,
I might be happy to share if you want.
Trading Standards Institute. Yes, so I'm Tender Lindsay, and I work with the Chartered Trading Standards Institute, which is trading standards, as most of you know it to be. And trading standards, we are across 33 London boroughs and across the 4 nations as well. My aim is really to work very closely with the Black businesses to help them thrive, in London especially, or in across, the 4 nations. But we want to help the businesses, the Black and Asian businesses, to give them information on how they can actually run their businesses better, safely, fairly, and also make a profit and be compliant.
It's Timmy Orija. I'm based in London. I'm a lifestyle manager and I run an events and media company. We look after talent in sports and also in media as well, creating content for TV channels and international TV networks. Gained some clients. I've gained profile building, upgrade new opportunities, and also more importantly, you are becoming a role model in the community that can help inspire other people. So it's not so much what I'll gain, it's more a case of how we can all gain.
My name is Emmanuel Olatunji. I am the Director in Digital Transformation Practice Principal at VHS Technology, which serves as a tech solutions provider and consultancy in partnership with Microsoft to support organizations of all sizes around the world with their software licensing and equipment procurement activities, digital transformation strategies, and implementation services, and also to train people within different departmental functions on how to use the technologies implemented within their organization. What do I value most about the Black Business Association? I would say the camaraderie-like dedication to creating a purposeful outlet to support Black business ownership in London, which I feel will play a vital role in addressing the barriers to equality within the capital in the years to come.
Thank you, Nick. I think the last slide. So just to add, Menelik there is our account manager. As London, all officers and local authority will know the network, the London Strategic Regulatory Network actually benefits from that membership. So if you have any ideas about how to engage or want to contact the Strategic Regulatory Network, on the last slide, I think the slide that will be sent out, there is an email, so you can contact us and let us know. I'm also conscious that there's question and answers, Khadija, that you may want. There's a free app for LCCI that you can download and engage and join the ABA with the Asian Business Association or the Black Business Association without paying anything, just as a social media platform that you can engage. They have lots of free webinars. There's opportunities for us to host webinars, and you can post questions and also you can post messages as well. So thank you very much for listening today. Any questions?
Thank you, Valerie. We do have one in the chat from Suzanne Brown around if you've got any simple tips on how to engage more effectively with a diverse range of businesses, for example, ethnic minority businesses. If you want to answer that, I just wanted to add sort of like the slide that you had up about professional curiosity. I think that's a big thing, knowing about what questions to ask, who to ask, when to ask it. But yeah, if you've got anything further to add to that as well.
Hi, Susan. I think that's part of the project, which we're trying to develop something that's almost useful for regulators as a toolkit, saying, you know, we've spoken to Black and Asian businesses, and this is what they've told us with our findings. So we've seen that that's probably going to be the third phase of the business, the project, but we are starting that journey now. So any tips that we can pass along the way, we'll share with other regions as well.
Thank you. I think that's all that was in the chat. But yeah, I'd just like to add, same as Valerie, is we're just getting started in this work and we will like to share and learn from people around us as well. So yeah, thank you for joining our session as well. And if you do have any questions, you can send them through to our local delivery chat. Please do join the rest of the sessions we've got for the rest of the week. We have sent out the agenda with the link, so you can join all of the sessions through that agenda as well. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.